There's something going on in Hollywood right now that will inevitably affect all of us. Hey guys, what's up? It's Imurgency and welcome back to my channel. Today we are here and we are talking about the 2023 writer's strike. If you have not been in touch with the news, especially entertainment news as of late, this month the WGA, the Writers Guild Association, has gone on strike, asking for better pay and working conditions. And the effects of this writer's strike have been and will be felt for some time to come if an agreement doesn't come soon. So in this video, we're going to talk about why there's a strike going on in the first place, and its effects and what it means for the entertainment industry as a whole, the media we consume, and inevitably you personally. Because not to be dramatic, but you are going to be affected one way or another. We're going to talk about that. But before we do that, let's take a moment to talk about my new hair. Yeah, the twist set is back for a moment and I will only be accepting positive comments on it. And have been actively looking for a suitor as of late, so if you want to score a chance. So if you like a time to shoot your shot, now's your chance. But for real though, if you are new to the channel and like all things pop culture, TV, fashion, tier lists, and more, you can hit that subscribe button for free. A good chunk of y'all that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed, so you should probably change that if you're checking back time after time for emergency content. You can also help out a lot by leaving a like on this video and follow me on my socials at Imurgency on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, where I post other social media content. Yeah, but let's talk about this writer strike. This specific writer strike has been a long time coming. The earliest I've heard about this from the internet and from like the entertainment industry spans all the way back in February when people were saying like, there's a strike coming. So it's really no surprise that this has actually happened. I think most people are kind of just confused as to why this is happening and what this generally means. So let's first break down what the Writers Guild Association is, the WGA, that is on strike, because I feel like not everyone's coming in with the same amount of information. According to their website, from the horse's mouth itself, the WGA is a labor union composed of the thousands of writers who write the television shows, movies, news programs, documentaries, animation, video games, and new media content that keep audiences consistently entertained and informed. So basically everything you're seeing in media that is scripted or written, the WGA has some hands in. Which, saying it out loud, makes it more sense as to why this is such a big deal. Because like I said, that has hands in pretty much all of entertainment. So when the backbone of all of entertainment decides to go on strike, you can see how there's a little issue. But now that we know that, why is there a strike in the first place? So this specific strike is in response to years and years of unfair pay and increasingly stressful workloads. The life of your average writer in Hollywood is not what you would think it would be. Writing has become more of a gig economy than an actual career nowadays in Hollywood, which means that there is a lot more job insecurity for people writing on shows. And the WGA is essentially demanding better pay, streaming residuals, mandatory staffing, employment duration, and AI technology safeguards. And a lot of these issues have been created, or at least been more so proliferated, with the rise of streaming. Because before streaming took off, these writers that would write for shows on traditional cable television would be compensated for their work initially writing for whatever show or program would be aired, and then would also receive residual pay whenever that show would be replayed on a network, which would allow writers to have a more stable income. But since streaming has taken off, and a lot of that progress of actually being paid for residuals came from an earlier writer strike in 2007 and 2008 that lasted about 100 days to at that time get better working conditions. But now that the landscape has changed for streaming, a lot of that language is either outdated or there are a lot of loopholes in it, so writers aren't being fairly compensated for the amount of work that they're being asked to do. So specifically with streaming, writers aren't necessarily guaranteed to get residuals, or at least adequately compensated residuals, from shows on streaming services because there isn't hard-coded language for that. According to an Uproxx article, Netflix infamously uses smaller writers' rooms called mini rooms where writers hash out a series for 10 weeks before having to look for another job, which the WGA says is not sustainable. So not only are writers not being paid fairly for the work and the success of their shows, there also is not a lot of stability in the career. So you're constantly having to hop from opportunity to opportunity to stay afloat, even if you're writing for some of the most popular shows at the time. And these issues of job insecurity and worker pay are made even worse when put into comparison with how much execs and showrunners of these major corporations are making in comparison to the writers that are creating the content that feed into their pockets. And another issue that's being addressed by the strike is the rise of AI usage in writers' rooms. And this is actually becoming a bigger component because people are saying with the rise of the strike, if the writers don't want to do it, let's just train AI to be writing shows for us. Since AI assistants like ChatGPT have become an increasingly used source to generate complex ideas and creative works, that becomes a slippery slippery slope, especially when talking about continuing a already existing series or rebooting or reimagining a show that already has intellectual property by actual humans beforehand. So there's a whole copyright and usage debacle with the use of AI in the writers' rooms as well. Another comment that I've been seeing a lot on the internet is, if everyone goes on strike and things just shut down, can't shows that already have like scripts and stuff written continue to be produced and filmed? And I feel like that really undervalues the work of writers and ignores the point that writing doesn't just stop once the script leaves the writer's room. As we've seen with headlines more recently from shows like Wednesday, shows and productions continuously evolve well throughout the actual filming process. So it's well possible that a line could just not pan out as well when actually being performed on set, that you have writers on set that can actually make those adjustments or change the script and plot lines around to make more sense and to be more authentic to the actual story, to actually make a good, compelling story. And I don't think we talk about how important that job actually is. Like in this channel specifically, we talk a lot about the quality of writing and how the quality of writing on a show can either make or break a show, especially how clear it is when a show has a good writer's room versus when it doesn't. But now that we've talked about the issues going on within the writing industry, what exactly is the WGA asking for in order to end the strike? So overall in their negotiation proposal, the WGA is asking for an increased minimum compensation in all areas of media, increased residuals, appropriate TV series writing compensation from pre to post-production, increased contributions to pension and healthcare plans, the strengthening of professional standards and the overall protections of writers, and the regulation of use of generative AI in writers' rooms. And since this strike has come out and become more mainstream news, we've had a lot of celebrities and people in entertainment come out and show their support, which is really great to see, because this truly could mark a shift in the entertainment industry as a whole, because writers are actually the backbone of everything that goes on in mainstream television and entertainment right now. A lot of people joke that the only people not affected by the writer's strike right now are like reality TV shows, but even then, like some of those things are scripted. So it's really important that things actually come to a resolution soon. Because like I said in the beginning of this video, that everything that I've talked about up until now has been how this affects the entertainment industry, but this also trickles down and impacts the media that we consume as well. And let's talk about that really quick. What does the current writer's strike impact as of right now? Basically, how we're seeing things play out right now is we're seeing a lot of show, movie, entertainment delays. I personally wasn't of age to actually notice a dip in quality, but for people that are older, or if you watched different shows around 2007, 2008, it's really clear to see that there was a giant dip in quality of shows and television and programming around that time because of the writer's strike that went down in that period. We're looking at seeing something very similar if a resolution doesn't get passed quickly. Because as of right now, shows are currently being delayed or are being put on hiatus due to or also in support of the strike. Some examples of shows that are currently being delayed are shows like Stranger Things, pretty much all of late night TV. So Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, SNL, all of those. Abbott Elementary, American Dad, Family Guy, the new season of Cobra Kai, the new season of Big Mouth, House of the Dragon, the MTV Awards. So award shows are also being impacted by this. Yellow Jackets, which a lot of y'all have been asking me to talk about, and many, many, many other shows and productions. So really, it's not an understatement to say that this really is impacting the media that we consume. We're just going to be seeing, if things don't resolve quickly, meaning that if the WGA and these different production companies don't come to an agreement soon, we could be in a drought of content for a really long while. And the content that does manage to come out in the meantime will likely be lackluster at best if it's not already filmed or like already ready to be shipped out. Although one thing to note for all the Heartstopper fans out there, productions made and taking place outside of the US, I don't believe are as heavily impacted, but that doesn't mean that you should care any less, because it's really important that we stand with writers to improve writing conditions. I just felt like that was an interesting thing to also point out. But yeah, things are gonna be looking slow for a little bit, and that brings us to how this will impact you personally, because I assume if you've seen content from my channel before or are at all concerned about the writer's strike, that you are a consumer of media and a consumer of entertainment, or just generally like watching TV. Some of your favorite shows are going to be delayed. I know that we were all excited for Stranger Things to come out next year around the summer. They're halting filming, meaning that season 5 may not come out until later in 2024, if not 2025, depending on how long the strike actually ends up going on for. And this halt, yes, leads to delays, but could also eventually lead to cancellations if things go on for long enough, because once money starts bleeding too bad, as we've seen before, different streaming services that cancel shows when things are going well, yeah, if the money starts bleeding, I would not be surprised to see streamers just start canceling shows to cut their losses if the strike ends up going on longer longer than they actually anticipate without the conditions being met for them to have an agreement. Now, I know that sounds like a lot because it is. And you may be wondering like, okay, Rumi, like I get it. Like things aren't great right now. Like what's going on? What's the progress? Like how can we help speed things along? Well, basically right now with the strikes, there are a lot of protests going on both coasts of the United States, both in LA and New York, and around the country taking up space to actually demand better conditions. If you're especially passionate and want to be involved and show your support, you could attend and support the protests that are going on, donate to causes to help continuing to take up space so that things can move along, so that corporations can see that this is a serious issue and not just a writer's thing, and can be seen as a greater issue that the greater community that enjoys entertainment also wants to see progress along. And other minor things are like being mindful of where you're spending your money and who you're spending your money on, especially when news comes out about which companies are slowing down the process or getting in way of negotiations for their own corporate interest. But if you're not in the spirit of activism or anything like that, really all we can do is wait until a decision is made or until there's some sort of agreement made so that the strike will end. But until then, support writers and buckle up because we got one storm coming. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about the writer's strike since I know that that's been going on and since we talk so much about writing on this channel, and to show some support to writers. So I will also leave links to resources in the description below if you want to go ahead and take it upon yourself to do those sort of things. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and follow me on my socials at Imurgency. But other than that, I have been Imurgency, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.